Good morning, students. Today we will read about national integration. I am Swati from National Institute of Science, Education and Research. So, in the first slide, as you can see that there is a picture where it's written unity in diversity, and as the entire picture that symbolizes how our country is united amongst in spite of all the differences that are existing, and it is epitome of unity and brotherhood. In the next slide, so we need to first understand what is national integration. Okay, so national integration refers to the process wherein a feeling of togetherness, a sense of national unity, and above all, a sense of national belongingness is developed among people. So here, it's a kind of feelings that results into integration, or you can say unity, among all the people who live in a particular country, and they themselves they feel close to each other and they live together without any differences in spite of the existing differences. Okay? So it is an essential aspect in the making of a nation. So a nation is only possible if there is national integration. So without national integration or that unity among people, we can't have a state, or you can say we can't have a nation, because nation involves a kind of feelings, a kind of togetherness, a kind of feeling of brotherhood. And promotion of national integration is regarded as a part and parcel of the policy of any country. So a country, in order to survive, in order to prosper, or in order to advance in economically, politically, educationally, or in any other field, it needs to promote that unity among people, that integration among people. So according to Benjamin, national integration refers to the assimilation of the entire people of a country to a common identity. What is that identity? That is, we all are Indian. So when we people say that I am Indian, or a girl says that I am Indian, that refers that integration is there in the country, or we can say in our country, India. So this particular definition is very clear, which says that there is the assimilation of entire people of a country into a common identity. So all the people, whether Hindu, Muslim, or you can say Marathi or Gujarati, all are Indian. So that identity of being Indian is above all, that is above the identity that belongs to their state, or that belongs to their religion, or that belongs to their culture. Okay? So in the next slide, here I have put one picture of our former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, and she has said that India believes in peace and harmony. India lives by national integration. So this is the policy of our country. As you already know, the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, he believed in non-violence and he believed in peace. Okay? So through that help of non-violence, through that path only, not violence, but non-violence and peace, our country got its freedom. So it means that our country lives in peace. It doesn't believe in conflict or any kind of competition with other countries that are there. No, it believes in peace and it believes in harmony, and it lives by national integration. Our country, India, exists because of the integration and unity among all the people. So, in the next slide, we will be understanding the concept of national integration. So, national integration is the awareness of a common identity among the citizens of a country. This means that although we belong to different castes, religion, and speak different languages, we recognize the fact that we are all one. So this national integration, this is a kind of feelings, this is a kind of consciousness, this is a kind of awareness among people who believe that they are one. They have one common identity, and that is being Indian. They may belong to different religions, they may be Hindu, they may be Muslim, they may be Christian, or they may speak different languages like Tamil, Telugu, or Hindi, or Odia, but they believe that they are one, and that is Indian. So this is national integration, and it is not just a national feeling, but the spirit which brings people of all dialects and beliefs together in a similar endeavor. So we already know that in spite of all these differences, people within themselves, they know that they are Indian because they are living in one country, that is India, and they need to have that spirit, they need to have that fellow feelings for others, they need to have that brotherhood feelings for others in order to live in that country. So that belongs to national integration, and that unites the people of different categories. And national integration arises thought the behavior and determination of citizens. It is the duty of every person as a citizen to oppose to the forces and ideas that weaken national unity and integrity. So how national integration will be possible? It's not that somebody will force us to be united. No, that emerges from within the individual, from the internal conscience of those individuals who will unite among themselves and who will forget all those differences that is existing, all those beliefs, they will have the common belief and they will be one. So that kind of belief that will bring national integration, and people themselves in their thought and in their action, they can ensure national integration or unity and integrity of the nation. So we can't say that if the state only enforces this kind of policies and tries to bring national integration, that will be possible, or the national integration which will be achieved. No, if the people themselves will act, they will think in that way, they will feel that within themselves and act in that way, then national integration will be achieved. In the next slide, we will be studying some of the definition by major scholars. So, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan defines that national integration cannot be made by bricks and mortar, mold and hammer, but it quietly grows in people's minds through education. So, as we know that it needs to grow from within the individuals. So, this national integration, this kind of feelings that can't be just forced upon oneself. No, that only will arise in the minds of people. In the next definition, the great ideologist and author Miran Weiner defines national integration implies the avoidance of divisive movements and that will balance the presence of attitudes in the nation and society that distinguish national and public interest from parochial interest. Okay? So it means that here people, they will avoid those factors which divide people. They will only accept that togetherness, that unity, that will bring the national integration in the country. And according to H.A. Ghani, national integration is a socio-psychological and educational process through which a feeling of unity and harmony develops in the hearts of the people, and a sense of common citizenship or feeling of loyalty to the nation is fostered among them. So, this particular concept of national integration, it is a socio-psychological process, because here not only in the individual mind or the individual awareness or the individual feelings is involved, but it resolves into a social cohesion, a social unity. Okay, so in that way it is a socio-psychological process because it includes both the individual and also the society. So that's why we are studying national integration in sociology. You must be wondering that this particular concept is studied in political science and other subjects, but why we need to study national integration in sociology? Because it involves the society, because when we individuals together, we feel in that way, we feel together and we feel united, then only national integration is possible. To sum up, the concept of national integration includes political, economic, social, cultural and psychological dimensions and the interrelationship between them. Okay? As I said that in a country, in order to prosper economically, politically, educationally, it needs to have a national integration. So this national integration, it starts from the individual mind, from the psychology of those individuals and ends into the social aspects, including the economic prosperity, the political prosperity and also the educational advancement. And in the next slide, the need of national integration. So why do we need national integration? So this national integration will give a new identity to a particular country and to those people, all those people who are living in that particular area or in that country. So it helps to stabilize the democracy. So democracy, as we know, it believes in equality, because here all the people have equal chances of getting represented and getting the problems solved. So all the people have rights and also their obligations. So here it believes in democracy. National integration, it kind of helps to stabilize the democracy. We know India is a democratic country, the largest democratic country of the world, and here, in order to have a good democracy, an advanced democracy, and advanced democracy, we need to have national integration. And national integration improve economic growth. As I said, when people will be united, when they have a love feeling for each other, when they feel close to each other and they feel that they are Indian, they will work for the betterment of the country. They will not have those narrow-mindedness only for the development of their one particular region or one particular community or one particular religion, but they will work for the betterment of the entire nation. Okay? So in that way, it will improve the economic growth. It develops the nation and provides all the important rights and duties to the people. So as I said that in national integration that is developed through the individuals. So individuals themselves, they play an important role in thinking in that way, in acting in that way. So here it provides all the important rights and duties to people. So in the similar manner, because we know our constitution provides certain duties, fundamental duties and also fundamental right to the citizens. So here all these rights and duties are properly implemented, and they are they prepare the country to be integrated and bring national integration or unity in the country. In the next slide, the supporting elements in national integration. So we are trying to understand what the concept of national integration is, and we are trying to read all these elements which will help us to better understand what is the meaning of national integration or what national integration means to us. So the first supporting element is equal fundamental right. As we know, there are certain fundamental rights like right to religion, right to freedom of expression and all those. So those are the things which help the citizens to be equal. So no one will be discriminated, or there will be no discrimination among people. All will be equal and they will enjoy the right in a particular country being Indian. So they have the right of enjoying all the specific rights because they are Indian, because they belong to a particular country and their identity is Indian. Then is equal fundamental duties. So not only that these individuals have certain rights and which they obtain from the state, but they also have certain duties for the state. Like to safeguard the nation, to respect women, as we know the 11 fundamental rights. So those we need to follow, those we need to implement in our real lives in order to have national integration, because they are based on the principle of equality, freedom, right, okay, and secular. Our country is secular country because we have not given one particular religion the importance, but we give importance to all the religions equality. So there is a positive element of secularism in India, and this particular thing removes the discrimination that is created among the religions. Like you must have heard about like many important issues like religious conversions, like Muslims are forcibly converting Hindus, or Hindus are forcibly converting Muslims. So in all these cases, only the nation that is improving, the only result is because it is secular. It gives importance to all the religions. So all the religions need to exist in an equal manner without any exploitation and discrimination. Then identical symbols. We have our national flag, we know, we have our national song, our national anthem. So what does they mean? They kind of symbolize that we belong to India and we have one identity above all other identities. we are Indian. Then tourism and national integration. So tourism, because we, in India, there is tourism department which promotes this kind of tourism to different religious places and historical places, like the places in Delhi, for example, like Taj Mahal. So that was built by the Muslim empire, you can say, in medieval period. So we can't say that because that belongs to the Muslim ruler, then we will not be visiting that area. Or for example, there is also Jagannath temple in Puri. So we can't say that because that belongs, that has been built by the Hindu king, people will not visit that. No, but the state promotes tourism and all these places equally, whether it belongs to medieval period or it belongs to the Muslim ruler or the Hindu ruler, it doesn't matter. But it promotes tourism because it promotes our historical identity, our culture, our rich heritage. So these are the few supporting elements in national integration. In the next slide, we will be studying about the advantages and disadvantages of national integration. So as per the definitions or the meaning of national integration, you must have been clear about the advantages, what national integration does to a particular country or a nation. So it increases the feeling of brotherhood, we feel close to each other, and it reduces the differences among the religion, region, race, culture. It reduces murders, massacres and riots, because these are the problems, the conflict, or you can say the major social problems that exist due to the differences, because people simply are not able to tolerate the kind of difference that is there within people or among people, which results into riots. You must have heard about the recent case of Delhi riot. So national integration has to reduce all these issues, because it is a kind of feeling which gives you the kind of, that tolerance which helps you in having that equality in the society. It supports in developing the nation, because when there will be less differences, people will only work for the betterment of the nation, because there will be no limited, or you can say narrow interest, but they will have a broader interest, that is betterment of their own one country. It increases unity among people, and certain disadvantages of national integration are social tension, corruption and illiteracy, because even if we have all these differences, we face the problem of illiteracy. There is corruption due to some political causes, and there is also due to lack of urbanization in some of the states. Some people, they advance more, whereas there are certain backward regions which are not able to advance economically and educationally. So people there suffer a lot. There is diversity with diverse issues, because when we have the problem of water sharing problem, and also you can say the language problem, the 3 language formula that is there, and it reduces the differences regarding religion, region, race, culture and caste. So it's good, but some of the scholars, they are of the opinion that these differences, they actually help and they should be there. But that should not act as a kind of, being intolerant towards all these differences. You must accept those differences and live peacefully with people. So there is also poverty. So these are the issues which have not been adequately addressed by the state, which are regarded as the disadvantages or the problems of national integration. On the next slide, we will be studying about certain obstacles to national integration. So what are the major causes which do not allow national integration or unity among people to occur? The first one is regionalism, then it's communalism, then it's casteism, then it's social inequality, then it's extremism, then it's terrorism. So regionalism, that means you have inclination or love towards one particular region, and you want the development of that particular region at the cost of other regions. That is regionalism. Then communalism means, as we know, there are examples of riots and those, and this problem This is a kind of ideology where people simply don't accept other religion. That results in riot and those. Then there is casteism, as we know, because Brahmin, the problem between Dalits and Brahmins, Khandayats and Dalits, so that occurs, that comes under casteism. Then there is social inequality, where there is a gap between the rich and poor, and people don't get the educational facilities equally. They are deprived of education and also political representation and employment. So they suffer from poverty and all those economic problems because there is social inequality. And then there is extremism. As we know, you must have heard about this Naxalite and those who actually want the development of that particular region, but they don't get any support from the state, and which result in extremism. Then terrorism, of course, which occurs from out of the country. Okay, terrorism occurs by the forces of out of the country, like other countries, but extremism that occurs within the country. So in the next slide, we will study in detail regionalism. Okay, so India hosts a multitude of culture, and more often that not people identifying with a single cultural identity is concentrated inside a certain region. So regionalism means the feeling of pride and loyalty that individuals have for their own region, culture and identity. Okay, so this regionalism, it's very harmful for the national integration. It's an obstacle to the national integration, where people have love towards their own particular region. Region means their particular area, or you can say a particular district or a particular village, and they want the prosperity, or you can say advancement of that particular area at the cost of other areas. So on many occasions, regionalism leads people to promote regional interest and put greater priority to their local region than the nation, and under such situation, regionalism becomes an impediment to national unity. So what happens is that they they don't think themselves as Indian, but they identify themselves with that particular region. For example, you can say a particular person identifies himself or herself to a particular state, or you can say Odisha, but he or she doesn't accept the fact that she or he is also an Indian. So here the national interest is sacrificed, but the regional interest is accepted. So the birth and endurance of regionalism in Indian society has been marked with a number of incidents that have stood in the way of achieving national integration. For instance, the formation of Telangana state in 2014. So from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, that was created in 2014, which is a clear example of how regionalism exists in India. And a desire for a breakaway state of Bodoland. Often regionalism may be acceptable because their demands are founded on the legitimate grievances of the region and continuous indifference towards a particular region, but regionalism often ignores the interest of the nation and encourages people to have unfavorable attitude towards other regions of the state. So this kind of strong regionalism is very damaging. As we know that regionalism, where people actually focus on that particular area, though they have certain legitimate demands that that area is not economically advanced, or people or the students, they don't get the educational facilities there in the region. So they want their particular region or area to be accepted as a particular state, or you can say recognized, to be recognized by the country or the nation. So in that way, that is often accepted, because we have the case of this Telangana in 2014, and also there was the demand of Bodoland from Assam. So these cases are there, but at the end of the day, these are not good for national integration. Okay, so in the next slide, regionalism is expressed in the desire of people of one region to promote their own regional interest at the expense of the interest of the other region. It has often led to separatism and instigated separatist activities and evident and the violent movements. And selfish politicians exploited. Thus, regionalism has challenged the primacy of the nationalistic interest and undermines national unity. Okay, so we already have discussed about it. Then there are forms of regionalism. So there are 4 types of forms where regionalism expresses itself. Okay, so the first one is demand for separation from the Indian Union. So there is Bodoland, which they want out of Assam. So there are certain areas, or also from that socialist Nagaland, that they want recognition from the state, and they want to be separated from Indian, or Indian government. And they demand for a separate statehood. They want a different state completely. And also they demand for a full-fledged statehood. Okay, that should be like accepted by the government. Then interstate dispute and border disputes are also there. So these are the examples of regionalism, or how regionalism can manifest itself in various forms. In the next slide, regionalism and those that believe in its ideology are concerned with increasing the political power and influence of the resident of a particular region. Their demands include, but are not limited to, sovereignty, separatism, succession, and independence. They tend to favor a confederation of law states instead of a unitary nation state with a strong central government. So here what they want is, they want power. So this, there are certain organizations who actually they gather people, and they want a different statehood, or recognition from the country, or they just want to be divided from the entire Indian territory. So in that case, they sacrifice, or they don't think about the nation, that is one country, the Indian. They don't think themselves as Indian, but they think, or they identify themselves with that regional identity. So those who believe in regionalism claim that strengthening governing bodies and political power within a region will be of benefit to the local population, as it will improve the regional economy through better allocation of resources, regional development, and better implementation of local policies. This, of course, comes at the cost of weakening the central government, or you can say the central power. So here what it says, that they try to bring certain changes in that particular area, that particular region that has become backward from ages, like as I say, providing more educational facilities, having more economic or employment opportunities in that area. So they put all these issues in the front, and they, on that basis, they demand a different statehood, or an identity from the government. So, but in that way, if you see at the broader picture, then we realize that it's very harmful for that unitary working of the government, the central government, because as we know that India is a federation of states, and when these states, they and people who live in that states, they try to be away from the central power, or you can say the central government, or from the state, the nation itself, then that creates a problem. People are divided here. So it's not also certain that if they will get all those facilities what they dream of after being away from, or after being divided from the original country, or their own real identity, that is being Indian. So this is an important issue which needs to be understood by students. In the next slide, we'll be studying about certain examples of regionalism. First is interstate water disputes. So we have seen many cases where one particular river goes through 2 or 3 states, and here the states, they refuse to give or allow the other state to have the water that flows freely through these states. So in that way, they actually sometimes intentionally or unintentionally, or to have, to provide benefit to their own particular state, they kind of stop the flowing of the water or the river to other states. So that also creates certain problems, that is due to water disputes, interstate water disputes in India. And there are also interstate border disputes because the states that are there, they have conflict with each other regarding the border areas, because we have heard about the border issue between India, Pakistan, India and China. Similarly, there are also border issues between the states that are there in India. So in the recent time, we have seen anti-migrant sentiments being exhibited in states such as Maharashtra, Gujarat and Karnataka. And they have also implemented laws to curb employment opportunities for people outside the given state. So in the recent time, you must have heard about certain states. They have formulated a particular policy where they have reserved 50% or 75% of the jobs for the people of their state only. So the people or the migrants who are coming from other states, they are not allowed, or they will not be having more job opportunities there. So here also, if we analyze it, we can see there is a spirit of regionalism here. So the second manifestation is a visceral hatred towards the communities based on interstate dispute or even instigated by political parties. And we see in the form of anti-North Indian sentiment in Maharashtra and a few South Indian states. So we also have a continuous conflict from the very beginning between the North Indians and the South Indians. Maybe it may be regard to the language, or it may be regard to the food, the culture. So this kind of hatred that is there among people, that also gives rise to regionalism, and that is very, very harmful towards the national integration. So there are also issues based on interstate disputes between Karnataka, Maharashtra and Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, because sometimes they claim a particular area to be their own, like Karnataka claims that this particular village or a particular district comes under my territory, whereas the other state will claim that no, this particular area comes under my territory. So here there is a continuous conflict. The third manifestation can be seen in the form of linguistic issues, and India is a diverse country and doesn't have a single national language. So a regionalism that has also manifested into this language problem, because here you can see everything is related. When we see the North Indian and South Indian, so they can't accept the South Indian, they have denied of accepting Hindi as a medium of instruction in the schools or maybe colleges. So that also leads to regionalism here. And however, in recent times, the political parties and government have focused on the imposition of Hindi in non-Hindi states, and the non-Hindi states have reacted to this by guarding the language, but in the process, some have also instigated hatred against Hindi and Hindi-speaking people. So here, as Hindi-speaking people, they are confined in the northern part of the country, and the southern part of the country, they have a kind of conflict with regard to this particular language. So here also we can see regionalism is involved, and also linguism is involved. And in the next slide, we will be studying about the causes. The first one is language. As we already understood here, there is the problem of language, because people speak different language in different states. That actually hinders them from accepting each other or feeling close to each other, because language plays an important role in feeling sameness or being close to each other. Then there is another factor, religion. As I know that there are certain areas where Hindu and Muslim, they also live together. So in that way, what happens is that if there is a Hindu leader, he or she will want the development of that particular Hindu community living in a particular area, and also the reverse happens. So that kind of leads to regionalism. Then there is a regional culture. Yeah, culture difference is also there. Like as I said, North Indian and South Indian. Then economic backwardness. Also, you can see some of the major issues like the issues of lynching to the northeastern people when they come to other parts like North India or other areas. They are treated differently, and for that they are also exploited sometimes. So that is also a form of regionalism, because we simply can't accept them because they are from northeastern part, which was somehow being away from the mainstream population. because of the colonization and historical factors. Then economic backwardness, as we already studied that, for example, in Odisha, there are this KBK area, so where we believe that people are highly exploited and they don't have access to all the facilities. Those are enjoyed by the coastal area people, or you can say people living in cities and urban areas. So in that way, that also leads to a feeling of inequality, and sometimes government is also blamed for not working enough for them. So in that way, that also leads to regionalism, and also there was a continuous fight to have different capital or different high court for these other, you can say, the other language that is there, Sambalpuri language or like that. So this regionalism issue that continues for ages in India and also in Odisha. Then rise of political parties with regionalist agenda. So political parties, they sometimes try to get more vote by targeting a particular region. So they motivate people that you have not been provided all these facilities like education or economic opportunity by the government, so we will be giving you those, and your area will be developed, your region will be developed, so give us a vote. So in that way, they also give rise to regionalism. And Indian political scenario, some regional parties have strongly emerged and captured power in some states like Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Assam. Regional parties like ADMK, AIDMK in Tamil Nadu, Telugu Desam in Andhra Pradesh, Assam Gana Parishad in Assam, and also Akali Dal in Punjab. So these are the examples where these political parties have grew in order to have development in their particular region or their particular state. So that is also sometimes that leads to regionalism, and that is obstacle to the national integration. In the next slide, the territorial orientation based on geographical boundaries relate to the inhabitants like tribals. So they live in the forest areas or the different areas, whereas other people, they live in rural or urban areas. So there is also a difference, and this particular regionalism also arises due to this geographical or territorial factor. Then there is historical and cultural component, because we have different culture, we have different heritage, we have different myths and symbolism, and also historical tradition. So history of Odisha is different from history of Bengal. So there is also a continuous tussle between Bengalis and Odias with regard to their own culture and tradition, like the GI tag, or you can say like which state actually own Rasagola or Lord Jagannath temple. So these kind of issues, they are also examples of regionalism, which arise due to the historical and cultural factors. And then caste system and religion in Indian society play only a marginal role in causing regionalism. Only when caste is combined with linguistic preponderance or religion, it may cause a regional feeling. So religion is not so significant except when it is combined with linguistic homogeneity or based on dogmatism and orthodoxy, or linked with economic deprivation. So in the next slide, we will be studying about the consequences. So regionalism, what does regionalism do? So it promotes vote bank politics. As I already discussed, how the politicians target a particular region or people living in that particular region, and that promotes to vote bank politics. Thereby national integration and unity is also hampered. Then regionalism can weaken the time-tested fabric of unity and diversity if not promoted in a positive manner. For the most part, it is in a negative manner, as a certain political parties promote regionalism in a bid to stay in power and consolidate it by swaying the voters in their favor. So at the very least, it turns the people belonging to the same country against each other. So as we already know what regionalism actually means, that you want the development of your own region at the cost of the other region. So we don't think about the national interest, but rather you are focused on your regional interest or the development of your particular region. In that way, there is conflict, because the people belonging to other regions, they also will, or they also want the development of the region. So when in the interest they kind of collide, there is conflict, and that ultimately leads to the national disintegration. So the solution. So what can be done to solve the issue? The first is political parties should try to avoid partisanship. The appeals made to the electorate based on regional identity must be stopped, and they should aim at bringing national unity besides all sectarian interests. So they should not target regionalism, or they should not have this love for vote bank, but rather they should focus on uniting people and not dividing them. The economic development of our country must be uniform, and measures must be taken to ensure it. The development of underdeveloped backward regions and Naxal hit areas must become a priority to avoid discontent of people. So these areas who are backward and who need economic development, educational facilities, and political representation, they should be given priority. And these Naxal hit areas should, like Andaman, Fulbani, they should, in Odisha, they should be given more important, and more facilities should be provided to them by the government. So games like cricket have also seen a national unity based on shared emotion. Similarly, the national games like hockey, so these kind of, they symbolize a unity. So where we think that, okay, this is the national sport of a country and we are one. So in the cricket match, we cherish for our country to win. So that also means that we are one, and if these games will be promoted, then national integration will be assured. So cultural sensitization programs should be taken up in colleges and schools to avoid hatred based on regions and promote friendship among students. And the fairs and festivals should be conducted to promote national unity and integrity. Then the role of the National Integration Council should be revamped to serve the conflicting regional aspirations. So there is also a National Integration Council which should work for the integration of all people, and these differences should be removed. So doing away with regional imbalance. So the imbalance that is there in case of the economic development or educational development. So those should be removed, because all the regions should be given equal priority, and there should be development everywhere. Then reconstructing society in a way that it promotes unity. So the way forward, in the next slide, what can be the way forward to bring national integration in India? The first is because this regionalism is a multidimensional concept. It is a complex amalgam of geographical, historical, cultural, economic, political, administrative, and psychic factors. So there needs to be different approach to reduce the impact of regionalism, or to increase the integration, or the consciousness or the awareness among people that they are one, they are Indian. So the need of the hour is to develop each region, because all the regions, they deserve to be developed equally, and there should be no difference among people, among the regions that are there in all over the country. So through the devolution of power to local government and empowering people for their participation in decision making, the government at the state level need to find out the alternative resources of energy, source of employment for local people, use of technology in governance, planning, and agriculture and development. So here, if we want the development of a particular region which has remained backward, we need to provide power to the people who are living in that particular area. So the local self-government here, when people will participate in that, and they will have their own representation, they will have their power, they will have their voices, then only those areas who have remained backward can be developed. Then also introducing a system of national education that would help people to overcome regional feelings. So people should be educated, not only the students, but also all the people, adults, women, children, everyone should be educated about national integration, the need of it, and why India needs national integration and unity to be a developed country. That needs to be understood by all these people, all the citizens of our country. Then while the National Integration Council was set up, there is a need to utilize the potential more effectively. And also like we have one scheme like Ek Bharat, Shrestha Bharat, so by Government of India. So here we try to celebrate the diversity or the cultural rich heritage of India, and that can help in bringing unity among people, because when we feel close to each other, then we will be united and we will act accordingly, and we will never go for regionalism. So in the next slide, we will be discussing certain questions. First is, what do you understand by national integration? So you can just give your definitions that I have given here, the definition by Ramakrishnan or all those. So give this definition, and also what do you mean by national integration, try to give that, the supporting element of a national integration, the advantages of a national integration. So you can also mention that, because those are important points. Then what are the causes of regionalism? So you'll be giving those historical, cultural, religious, language, all those factors, and try to explain them. Then how regionalism is an obstacle to India's national integration. So here what you can write is that what regionalism means to you, or what you have understood by the term regionalism, and then try to give some of the examples like Bodoland and Telangana, those have arisen due to the regionalism issue in India. And also current problems like the border disputes or the water disputes between the states, and also the examples of the policies of the recent governments, of the state governments, where they have tried to capture the employment opportunities for the people of that particular state only. So, and also the problem that is existing between the North and South India, the problem of language, that also is related to the regionalism. So you can give some of the examples here, and in that way also how it hampers the national integration, you can see, because it weakens the democracy, and also the rights and duties of the people, the citizens of the country, those are not implemented properly, and the problems that are there, because it leads to vote bank and the political exploitation or by the politicians of the regionalism. So you can give these examples and how that leads to national disintegration, and finally you will be done with your answer. So this is for today's class. We studied about this national integration. Thank you so much.